mistaken. We feel like we are in a bunker here, and we already heard about storm, and we have the weather expert in our midst, but we feel here safe, warm, and we even have our bubbles out there. You've seen them. But let's not be mistaken. We cannot hide in here. The world out there needs us. The world out there has a challenge for us. So today I will provide you with some information of what we do at EBN, but I'll also hand you 3 dilemmas. These dilemmas have a purpose. The purpose is that you discuss them over coffee or over lunch or over dinner tonight and get engaging with each other, get talking to each other to actually help make small steps. And if we make small steps in energy transition, we will get somewhere. So these hours that you're here, please make use of them. And I will tell a bit about EBN, or in Dutch Energiebeheer Nederland. I joined them 9 months ago, and I noticed that I was not really aware of what they do, but none of my Dutch colleagues in industry were, and in Belgium it's not recognized at all. So it needs a bit of an explanation. EBN is a state-owned company in the Netherlands, and we resort under the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Climate. So they are our shareholder. And that makes us a party that works for them to do research, to build a knowledge base, to also advise them, and actually from that perspective to engage in public-private cooperations. And in that way stimulate actually the market and the activities in energy transition. And we started roughly 50 years ago in the 70s based on the natural gas that was found in the Netherlands. That huge amount of natural gas had value, or has still value, but had a lot of value for the Dutch state. So they wanted to co-invest with the private parties like the oil and gas major companies. So co-invest every time 40%, it's 40. So we as EBN still today are owner 40% of all the gas fields, all the infrastructure, onshore and offshore, all the platforms, everything around it. And that has been beautiful for the Netherlands. We earned a lot of money with that. But it also is an obligation to treat it well, to make wise decisions, and to also take care after gas exploration is gone. With the knowledge that we built over these years of the deep subsurface, we also explored to other areas. And currently we work with 4 pillars. And today I only talk about the molecular part of it, so that is for you, well, that side, the blue and green. But we also work on geothermal sources and even heat networks in the city environment. But for today, the gas system. And when I think of gas, I do not automatically think of the raw materials that my colleagues need. I think of security of supply first and foremost. That is, for the Netherlands, very important. We rely on the natural gas for the heating of houses, for the industry, not only for the energy value, but also for the industrial value. So the Netherlands has old gas fields that are turned into storages, and from this public-private role that we play, we make sure that they are filled to 90% before winter starts. And I can assure you, at least the Dutch people that rely on natural gas for heating, the storages are full. So we can have a good winter. But of course, there is more around natural gas, not only the security of supply. The natural gas still plays a very important role in the Dutch economic system and actually in the European system. So this is my favorite picture of the North Sea. Many of you will picture the North Sea with a sunset or with stormy weather, the dog playing, the kids running around. Well, this is my favorite picture of the North Sea. It's quite complicated, but it shows you what is going on there. All these areas are gas fields. And even though we don't want the CO2 that comes from it anymore, we do need the gas. So that brings me to the first dilemma that I have for you. Continue to use the fossil fuel or the fossil source, or be rapid in energy transition and cut short, go cold turkey. We still believe that we need to produce the natural gas that is left there. As long as we use it, we need to produce it locally because it has a far lower CO2 footprint than importing it, for example, from the United States as a liquefied version from the shale gas. On the other hand, we aim to be CO2 neutral by 2040, scope 1, 2, and 3. But every day that we produce gas, we also produce more or less indirectly CO2 for the atmosphere. So that is a dilemma, and for us that led years ago to the steps into CO2 storage in the sea fields. Nowadays we are the main company behind Porthos. Porthos took an FID decision last year and will start building the first CO2 storage in the offshore sea area close to Maasvlakte. And it is good for 2.5 megatons per year. And also in the news was the project Aramis, which has now a FEED decision. That means, I think most of you know, but that means that we enter the last engineering stage and we prepare to take an FID decision in Q1 next year. And together they will stand for at least 10 megatons of CO2 per year in storage. And with that, the remark for Aramis is made that the trunk line that we build is far bigger than that. So the volume will be able to be doubled once we have more stores, so more empty gas fields connected to the trunk line. Dilemma number 2. We talked about gas and use the infrastructure to produce the gas. Now we see that we use the infrastructure for transporting CO2 the other way. So which is best? When is best? And are there other demands for infrastructure? I go back to my favorite picture, but now with some scenarios for the future. And there you can see that we could also in futures transport hydrogen through these main transport lines that are now for natural gas. So there's 3 elements or 3 media that you can transport: hydrogen, CO2 or natural gas, but which is used where and when in time. And that brings me to, actually the topic that was raised before related to onshore, the scarcity of space. But also the North Sea is very, very, very crowded. Aside of these 3 flows, we also have shipping lanes and we have the fishing industry or activities. So we need to plan this very well in advance in a very controlled manner. And the way we do that is with cooperation. Of course, the Belgian people make fun of us as being polderen, which means do the debate all the time until everybody agrees. We even say that we build a new polder in sea, which is sort of, not possible. But anyway, that brings me to the third dilemma, is how to control all of this, or how to guide all of this. And then the question is, do we do this from a governmental perspective, or do we leave this to the market? Where actually, I think my peers here would say, man, the market is there to solve these problems. On the other hand, maybe we do not have the patience or the luxury of time to wait until market parties sort this puzzle out. So, being part of the Ministry of Economic Affairs, my last slide for you is about the Nationaal Plan Energiesysteem, the National Plan for Energy System for 2050 in the Netherlands. And sorry, I did not translate it, but I think you get the message when I talk you through. And we're actually quite happy, because we heard today there is a need for some guidance, there is a need for a bigger plan. The Netherlands made quite an effort, maybe a bold move to make such a plan. So in 2050, we have now the first contours of what the energy system will look like. And the first aspect, and actually many companies and organizations respond very positive. The first aspect is about making sure there is supply, enough supply, abundant supply of green energy and of infrastructure. So actually, that choice has been made as a carrot, like the carrot we saw on the screen. If you have enough supply, if there is enough for all of us, then the market will adapt and will follow. That is the belief. And of course, there are very much also aspects of energy savings. That is the second pillar. The energy that you not consume, you do not need to create, you do not need to finance, you do not need to have the space for it, so that makes sense. And especially in winter, I think we all have our own policies at home to turn the heating down and be a bit resourceful in keeping warm. And then the distribution. Also, this plan foresees that some moments in time, the energy or the resources are scarce. So there is a plan in development how to deal with that. And that should give companies also the insight on what they can expect for future. And this insight is important. And then I do not need to emphasize that international connection is important, and in the end, working together with all of us, companies, organizations, whether it's state-owned or other branch organizations, and the people, the society. Because only then, when we really cooperate with everybody in the game, then we can make the steps. So I hope for you today that you can work with the 3 dilemmas I gave you. Fossil or not, what to do with the infrastructure, and who is actually setting the pace, government or market. And that you have a good connection over coffee to discuss this, and maybe we can make some steps after these 2 days.